Breaking news on To The Point. A Marysville police officer shot and killed.
Upon making entry into the house, there was an exchange of gunfire.
The 2-year veteran working with a long-standing narcotics enforcement team.
These were major players moving poison through our communities.
Tonight, as the community mourns.
It's just a huge loss when something like this happens for our whole community.
New details into what happened and what's next. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. It's been more than 100 years since a Marysville police officer died in the line of duty. Until today, an officer was shot and killed while executing a search warrant in Yuba County. Now, just moments ago, the police department identified the fallen officer as Osmar Rodarte. The Marysville Police Department shared these pictures of him. He worked with the agency for 2 years, and the shooting happened in Olivehurst off Kestrel Court this morning around 8 a.m. Investigators say the officer was working with the Yuba Sutter Narcotics and Gang Task Force. That unit is called Net 5. They say the group was issuing a warrant as part of a years-long investigation into a transnational drug operation when they were met with gunfire. The suspected shooter was killed, and this afternoon the community showed up to show their support for the fallen officer. A line of law enforcement and other first responders made their way through downtown Marysville. And tonight we do have team coverage in Yuba County tonight from Marysville to the scene in Olivehurst. But first, I want to go out to ABC 10's Luke Clary. He is in Marysville. Luke, we got an update today from law enforcement just hours ago. What else are we learning tonight?
Well, Alex, it's been a sad and somber day here in Marysville among law enforcement officers and ordinary civilians, too. But we are learning more about the circumstances that led up to the shooting this morning and that years-long investigation into transnational drug trafficking organizations. Here's what we know so far. The Yuba Sutter Narcotics and Gang Enforcement Task Force was executing search warrants in 20 locations across Northern California today, and this was one of them, the home on Kestrel Way in Olivehurst. The Yuba County District Attorney said that the central suspects in this operation were moving meth and fentanyl across the border from Mexico into California.
These were major players moving poison through our communities, and we couldn't just sit and watch it happen. We had to do something about it, and it's just tragic, and on all of us would just ask that you be praying for the officer's family and for his law enforcement community that's also grieving today.
The officer was an operator with the Yuba Sutter Regional SWAT team. He was transported to Rideout Hospital in Marysville, where he died of his injuries. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the district attorney told us to expect more details on the other 19 search warrants that were executed across Northern California today as well. The arrests that have been made, we should learn more about all of this in the coming 24 to 48 hours. Reporting live in Marysville, Luke Clary, ABC 10.
Luke, thank you so much. The scene where all of this unfolded in Olivehurst is still active, and that's exactly where we find ABC 10's Gabriel Porras. Gabriel, I know you've been out there all day, all afternoon. What are you hearing from neighbors tonight?
That's right, Alex. We are hearing a lot of shock tonight. The footprint of this scene is relatively small. The investigation seems to be centered inside of a home here on Kestrel Court, but police have had this large area blocked off for hours now, which is why it is hard to see much from the ground. From the sky, though, you can see investigators walking into and out of the home all day. There have been law enforcement officers here from several agencies, including the FBI. Just before 2:30 p.m., an armored SWAT car that was positioned outside of the home was driven away from the scene here. Now, this neighborhood is on the outskirts of Olivehurst. There are only a couple dozen homes behind police tape, and neighbors say it's most people in this area know each other who live in this area. It's part of the reason why all of this has come as such of a tragic shock.
Something like this I've never seen appear here. We've had mail theft and stuff like that, but other than that, it's a quiet neighborhood.
They have never seen anything quite like this here. Seeing what happened this morning to one of the people in charge of protecting the community has had some neighbors questioning their own safety. Now, every car going into and out of this neighborhood throughout today has had to be checked in one by one here at the scene with this large area blocked off as police continue to investigate this scene here. That's the latest live here in Olivehurst. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Gabriel, thank you so much. Tonight, we are learning more about just how dangerous it is for law enforcement to serve search warrants, especially in narcotics cases. ABC 10 investigative reporter Andy Judson spoke with a law enforcement expert who breaks down why these operations can turn deadly.
Yeah, Alex, narcotic raids are some of the most high-risk operations law enforcement can face because in most cases, drugs, weapons, and money are involved. That's what Robert Grant III told me just moments ago. And with 30 years in law enforcement, including in narcotics, he knows firsthand how dangerous serving search warrants can be in these types of situations. He says attempting to serve 20 warrants in a single day, as the agencies were doing in Marysville, is a massive undertaking. When organized crime or drug rings are involved, information spreads rapidly between suspects, escalating the danger with every door knock.
Because imagine you're in dope house number 18, and number 1 goes down, and you start to get an inkling, the police are there in number 1. Then you get a second call from number 3, and then from 7. And now you're in 18 thinking, oh my goodness, I need to start preparing. You start, trying to destroy evidence and the like. By the time they actually get to the 18th door, that's as dangerous as it comes.
And that escalation, he says, is why judges often approve nighttime and no-knock warrants, knowing any delay could turn deadly. He also said in operations like this, every officer on scene plays a critical role, meaning the Marysville officer killed may have been there simply to provide necessary support. And I asked him if he thinks we could see more large-scale narcotics operations like this one under the current administration. And he believes the answer is yes, saying with a tighter focus on the nation's borders, the drug trade is shifting, making these raids even more high risk. Alex, back to you.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. Assemblymember James Gallagher, who represents the Marysville area, is mourning the falling officer tonight. Gallagher says this officer was a hero and went to work understanding the risks of his job, all to protect his community. ABC 10 caught up with Gallagher just as he was about to speak at a committee hearing at the state capitol today. He was completely overcome with emotion, reflecting on what happened in his district.
There's a police officer who's no longer protecting our community, a father, I have kids of my own, and so you just, you think about, this is a guy who had his whole career ahead of him.
For now, Gallagher says that he's going to focus on figuring out exactly what happened and also provide support for the community. ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha joins us in front of the Marysville Police Department. Garshpal, obviously just an emotional day. This is extending beyond just Marysville, but our entire community. What have you really learned about the officer who died in the line of duty?
Yeah, Alex, information is slowly trickling as more and more information is being released. We're learning that this officer was a 2-year veteran with the Marysville Police Department, also a U.S. veteran, and we're learning his name just about 15-20 minutes ago, and they released photos of the officer. You can see those on your screen. Marysville Police tell us that the officer's name was Osmar Rodarte. His age has not been released, but we're told he was young and that he was well liked, and we're told that he was a father and leaves behind a family. Now, many people have been coming by to place flowers, to pay their respect, as this is a very tight-knit community, and this is we caught up with one person who was doing just that.
We've grown up here our whole lives. It saddened us, We don't want to see anybody killed, especially an officer in the line of duty, trying to save our community from fentanyl and things of that nature.
And back out here live, this is one of the few flowers that has been placed. The majority of them, people have been walking into the headquarters, placing them there. You can see the one that's further closer to the front entrance there. Now, this marks the first time a first line of duty death for Marysville Police in over a century. And also, Marysville Police just told us tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning, there will be a procession from the Lakeside Chapel here in Marysville to Placer County. So they're inviting the community to come here, line up along the sidewalks to show their support. Reporting live in Marysville, Garch Paul Sunga, ABC 10.
Thank you, Garch Paul. Again, we know that this is very tragic for our entire community. We are working to uncover more details in this investigation as we continue to talk to officials. So we will be bringing you updates on air and on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can download this app for free straight to your TV. Next, on To the Point, a shocking moment. A meeting to make a final decision on the Delta Tunnel project Zoom bombed with graphic images. How the state and those against the project are responding.
And it was the warmest day of the year yesterday. Today, we didn't even make it to 70 degrees. Big pattern change is on the way. Forecast after the break.
Plus, President Trump announcing tariffs for auto imports, the possible impacts to your bottom line. All right, let's get a check of your forecast. Another gorgeous, beautiful day outside, but things are going to be changing. There's going to be some, mix up in the forecast, as I understand.
Yeah, for sure. And it's windy today, and that's kind of one of those things that tells you things are changing, right? There's change in the air. Remember, we made it to 88 yesterday? Well, high temperatures today, as you take a look at the map, 69 only in Sacramento, 74 Stockton, 75 Tracy, 76 in Modesto. So basically 70 plus across the valley today. But again, downtown did not even make it to 70 degrees. When we look at that departure from normal, San Joaquin Valley still a little warmer. Again, they were in the 70s. Sacramento perfectly seasonal for the time of year. It was warm up in South Lake Tahoe, but you notice, especially out in the coastal ranges and along the coast, below average temperatures. So that just goes to show you how quickly things can change across Northern California in the springtime. The sensor downtown's been going in and out today, so don't currently know what the temperature is in Sacramento, but elsewhere across the valley, 63 in Elk Grove, 67 right now in Stockton, 69 Modesto, 61 Fairfield, 59 in Vacaville, 50s in the foothills and up in the high country. It has been windy. Once again, I will reiterate that. Sustained winds anywhere from 15 to 20 miles per hour in the valley, but we still see gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour in Oroville, similar gusts in the Sierra at the moment. Through the rest of this evening, temperatures dropping through the 60s and then 50s once we get from 9 o'clock onwards, building clouds as well. Good news is the winds are actually going to be tapering off for a little bit overnight before returning tomorrow. Thursday morning, we'll be starting off in those middle 50s with some cloud cover, so another mild start, cool and cloudy across the region tomorrow, with some scattered rain chances as well as the wind. So you see the wind dies down overnight, but then here we go. Thursday afternoon, we're looking at gusts over 25 in the valley, gusts over 50 in parts of the high country tomorrow. And here's a quick look at Futurecast. So you can see clouds building in. We'll see some very light showers in the foothills. Then tomorrow around lunchtime, a stray shower in the valley is not out of the question. Notice we're going to see some snow returning as well. By Friday afternoon, we could be looking at 6+ inches of snow in the Sierra with another more impactful system on the way for next week. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Next, on To the Point, an environmental group is speaking out after a Zoom meeting to make a final decision on the Delta Tunnel project is interrupted with graphic images. Plus, the Department of Social Security rolling back some requirements they just announced. When to expect those changes?
Our free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app has so much to offer. Get your news live and on demand 24/7 so you can watch the news when you want. There's breaking news, extended forecast, and so much more. We have everything you need to get through your day and ready for the weekend. We've got you covered on money-saving tips, travel, entertainment, and sports. Download the free ABC 10 Plus app on your smart TV and popular streaming devices like Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and more. ABC 10. We stand for you.
An important meeting about the future of the Delta Tunnel was derailed this week after an unknown person Zoom bombed the meeting with offensive images and sounds. ABC 10's Becca Habegger spoke with an environmental group that holds the state responsible.
Here at the offices of environmental group Restore the Delta in Stockton,
this is one of our community projects.
Colorful visuals in the conference room help tell the story of one of their projects, says Executive Director Barbara Berrigan-Padilla.
These visuals were created by an artist facilitator who worked with us.
But not all visuals are helpful and good.
It was an absolute shock.
On Monday, Barbara and nearly 100 others in support of Restore the Delta were in an important hearing with the State Water Resources Control Board when an unknown person hijacked the meeting, causing pornographic video, offensive images like swastikas, and loud, upsetting audio to play on everyone's screens, forcing the State Water Board to end the meeting.
It's really bad. People were traumatized by it. They felt violated.
Barbara had a short clip of the Zoom bombing she allowed me to view here in Stockton when I interviewed her. I can attest to the offensive imagery and sounds that totally derailed the meeting. The State Water Resources Control Board says it's investigating the incident, calling it an abuse of the public process that ultimately harmed the public and other participants who were exposed to despicable content, prevented from participating, and inconvenienced by the pause in the hearing.
It suppressed public participation.
At issue, the controversial Delta Tunnel, and at stake in this meeting, an official decision on the project. The state wants to build a more than 40-mile tunnel to divert and deliver water from Northern California to Southern California. The estimated price tag is $20 billion. Restore the Delta opposes the project, saying it would have disastrous environmental impacts. And Monday's hearing is where they and individuals who would be affected by the tunnel were supposed to be able to formally voice their concerns.
There is a certain force that needs to come from community that needs to be displayed to decision makers.
Barbara says some 50 supporters were set to make official policy statements in this hearing. Because the meeting was derailed, nobody got their say. The State Water Board is rescheduling the hearing, but Barbara says the damage has already been done. She blames the state for not having better security and control over its hearing.
We're not saying the Water Board did that. We're not saying anyone at the state did that. But what we are saying is they should have known that. They didn't prepare. They didn't protect community.
The California Department of Water Resources condemned the incident in a statement on X, saying in part it encourages the State Water Board to move forward as expeditiously as possible, given the urgent nature of the project and the hearing process. In Stockton, Becca Habiger, ABC 10.
Restore the Delta had asked for the meeting to be hybrid, but the State Water Board held it entirely on Zoom. The environmental group hopes the rescheduled meeting will be hybrid and the online portion will be secure. And a big decision today from the nation's highest court. The justices ruling 7-2 to uphold federal regulations of firearm kits that produce untraceable weapons known as ghost guns. The regulation treats gun part kits the same as fully assembled firearms, which requires manufacturers to serialize the kits and subject buyers to age limits and background checks. It's regulation originally issued by the ATF during the Biden administration.
Well, I think what stands out is here's a 7-justice opinion ruling that regulators can pass laws pursuant to an act of Congress that place restrictions on firearms.
Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas dissenting the ruling. Thomas writing, weapon parts kits themselves do not meet the statutory definition of firearm. In your price points tonight, President Donald Trump announced more tariffs today, this time on cars. Trump says that he'll be placing a 25% tariff on all auto imports. The White House expects to raise $100 billion in revenue from the tariffs annually. The tariffs will start being collected on April 3rd. If the taxes are fully passed on to consumers, the average auto price could jump by $12,500, a sum that could feed into overall inflation. The Social Security Administration is partially backtracking on a plan that would require all new and existing beneficiaries to travel to an agency field office to verify their identity. The administration says people applying for Social Security disability insurance, Medicare, or supplemental security income who are not able to use the agency's online portal can complete their claim entirely over the phone instead of in person. Other applicants will still be required to verify their identities at a field office. These changes will take effect April 14th. And this is a new era for Republicans in politics. Streaming now on the ABC 10 Plus app, we go inside the California GOP spring convention. I speak one-on-one with the California Republican Party's new chairperson, and also sit down with Republicans who have launched their campaigns for governor so far. You can stream California GOP, a new era, on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. Just look for it on the home screen. And again, that app is completely free to download to your TV. Stay back. We're back after this break. Before we go, an update to the breaking news we are following in Yuba County tonight. The Marysville Police Department says Officer Osmar Rodarte was killed while executing a search warrant in the Olivehurst neighborhood this morning. He was working with a Yuba Sutter Narcotics and Gang Task Force unit called Net 5 and had worked as a Marysville officer for 2 years. And as we uncover more details in this investigation, we will bring you the updates on air and on our ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. We will also have the latest updates tonight on Late News Tonight at 11. As always, thank you so much for watching and inviting us into your home. If you have something that you think we should be looking into, you already know what to do. Please reach out to me and the team. You can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. To the Point does not end here. You can always watch stories featured on our show on our free app.